Hey everyone. So let's see. It's this was the Rieti rest day. Get my camera a little better position. Rieti rest day. 6 more days of walking after this, and so tomorrow morning we start our final push into Rome. It's been I think I've kind of made it clear that it's been harder than I expected, but I can't express the joy I have gotten out of this. It has just been a wonderful time. I have been blessed with a good body. I haven't, some may disagree it's a good body, but I've been blessed with no injuries, and so aches and pains, and that's about it. And it's I was glad we had a rest day because probably my more significant pains are kind of back related, but my great friend Jen Marty will be happy that I'm keeping up with some of my back exercises, so that it's not too painful. Outside of that, it's been great, and the joy of doing this pilgrimage and praying a lot and enjoying my two hiking companions, and it's just been great. So while it's coming close to an end, I am definitely ready to get home, but I'm going to miss the journey that I have been on. So today, again, it was in Rieti. We didn't have to walk, so it was nice to sleep in a little bit. Had our laundry done for us, so we didn't have to go to a laundromat. We had a tour today, and I don't remember if you recall how excited I was about the tour we had in Assisi with Alessandra, and that still probably is one of the highlights of the trip. But we had a tour today of Rieti, and the tour guide was a lady named Rita, very accomplished lady. She actually has her degree in archaeology. She speaks at conferences. She just got back from Athens, where she spoke at an archaeological or tourism conference, talking about Rieti and the importance and how it fed into the whole Roman lifestyle and Roman history, not just because of Rieti, but what's called the Way of Salt, or the Salt Way, the Via Salarum, I think. I'm probably butchering that. But it was a key place on the road from the Adriatic, where the Romans would mine and harvest salt from the Adriatic to get down to Rome and to other places in Italy. And salt was it was used as currency. It was, excuse me, it was very valuable because it was the refrigerator of the 3rd century BC. That's how the only way they could preserve their food was by packing it in salt. It was used for animal feed because it would feed the animals, and they would salt. I think I'm not a rancher or anything like that, but I know that for cows they'll put out salt licks for the cows, and that creates thirst, which causes the cows to drink more water, which means the cows or the animals can make more milk so that the area can make more cheese. And so that was one of the important part of salt. It was also used in medicine. And so it was a very valuable commodity, but it has one problem: it melts in water. And so Rieti, being a primary place that it would pass through on its way to Rome, had to be dry. And so the only way, you remember us talking about Memore Falls and how a city had wanted to drain a marsh, but it ended up flooding another city, and they argued back and forth about it. Well, Rieti was the city that needed to drain the marsh so that they could keep the salt safe going to Rome. And so they needed the place to be effectively dry so that salt wouldn't dissolve in the area. So anyway, they built up the city. They built an aqueduct. They drained the marsh, creating Memori Falls. But then they built an aqueduct, and they did this using arches. And these arches go very deep in the ground, 30, 40 feet into the ground. And this built up the city. These arches are still, we got a tour of the underground, seeing these ancient arches. They're still intact. They're still, they still support some of the bridges and the buildings and things like that. And even though this is an area prone to fairly significant, 2016, fairly significant earthquakes, these 2,300-year-old arches are still standing. They actually used these underground areas as bomb shelters during World War II, because even the bombs couldn't cause these arches. And I sit there and think about, we build buildings, they don't last 100 years, much less 2,300 years. And so Rita was you could just tell by her passion for the city, and she's a lifelong resident of Rieti. You could tell that as we walked around. She was, saying hello, ciao, ciao here, ciao there. Everybody would stop and say hello to her. And so it was, she's written children's books, and her books have been translated into 10 different languages. And so she was just a fascinating individual. She spent 3 hours with us and then left us. We asked her for a recommendation for lunch. So she took us to this area that is not very touristy and introduced us to the owner and the chef. And we sat down and had one of the best meals we have had. It was wonderful. So one of the other important parts is that, one of the importance of Rieti is that the area Rieti and the surrounding areas is the home of the largest spring-fed water table in the world. For the city of Rome, it actually provides 600 liters of water per day per resident of Rome. And so this is a massive amount of water. And this was one of the reasons, I can't pronounce all the names, but it used to be that Rieti alone was part of the same region as Rome, but to the east and the west of Rieti belonged to different states, if you will. Mussolini annexed all the areas so that it was in the same region as Rome, so that he could basically dominate the water that was being put out by this area. So again, very fascinating. We learned so much today. I can't possibly put all of it into a video or a post to cover all we did, and I can't possibly in any way transfer the passion that Rita had as she was giving us this tour. It was, again, like Assisi and Alessandra was one of the highlights of the trip. So by the way, it is Friday, October the 13th. So it's Friday the 13th. And I thought about this during breakfast and thought, we're going to be walking underneath this city in an area that's very earthquake prone. Really testing fate here. So it's about 4 in the afternoon here. Trying to get done with this early because we're going to get up early. We got a pretty big day tomorrow, about 13, 14 miles. We're told we actually met Salvatore last night, who's the gentleman that set up all the places along the way. He lives here in Rieti. He came and met us at the hotel, and we sat and talked with him a bit, and so that was fun. But he claims that past this area, the hills are more rolling hills as opposed to the steep uphill climbs. So we'll have to wait and see. It's our final 6 days, so it would be nice if they were a little easier than the first 19 days were. So I'll sign off now. Blessings to everybody, praying for all of y'all and thinking about y'all, all of y'all during the days that I'm walking. Pray for me and pray for my companions as we keep us safe for the final 6 days. So far, we've only had one rain day. Knock on wood. That continues, and so we'll see. All right, signing off. Talk to you tomorrow.